Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on Watchbox Reviews. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing one of my favorite Rolex watches of the last half decade. Launched in late 2014, the James Cameron-inspired Rolex Oyster Perpetual Deepsea Sea-Dweller is reference 116660, inspired by the producer and director's dive in his own submersible to the bottom of the Challenger Deep in the Marianas Trench. The timepiece here, 44mm in Rolex's highly anti-corrosive 904L steel, is effectively a submersible craft for your wrist. 44mm in diameter, the watch is substantial, as the timepiece measures 17.9mm thick lug-to-lug, 51.9mm, and end-link to end-link 55.6mm, with a 21mm spacing between the lugs. And because there is a second generation Deepsea Deep Blue, the 126660, let me clarify, this is the first generation Deep Blue watch. We'll throw it on my 16cm circumference wrist. And you can see it wears easily, comfortably, though substantially. This is not going to be an all-the-time Rolex for a lot of folks with smaller wrists, simply because it is so relentlessly focused on its deep-sea diving mission. A timepiece that is substantial and unlikely to fit underneath any kind of a dress cuff. This is a watch that's designed to be seen, and seen clearly, at 12,800 feet. Now, the timepiece is substantial, so if you have a wrist to match, it's possible that if you have that shack-sized wrist, you could wear this as your Submariner. For everyone else, this is going to be a weekend-style watch, though it will fit under a jacket cuff, oddly enough. Now, the timepiece is heavy, though it's nicely balanced, and this is critical. I would recommend a wrist no smaller than 15 centimeters circumference to wear this occasionally, and no smaller than 17 centimeters circumference to wear it on a full-time basis. Otherwise, it would not look proportional. When I talk of the watch being well weighted and counterweighted, I mean that the bracelet and the clasp do a nice job of preventing the top of the watch from capsizing over the wrist. So if you like to wear your watch loose, this is still well matched. Polished flanks, satin centers, you can see Rolex doing bracelets well for years. Big gaps on the underside to vent the wrist and avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. You've got a fully polished clasp internal and a double locking system. You can see there is a beacon to hook, and there's that lift lock system, and then there's also a clamshell with a little kerf underneath the crown so you can dig in your fingernail. Now, what makes this watch special is that you can adjust the extension incrementally while the watch is still on the wrist. So this is something you can't do with a standard Sea-Dweller or a sub. By lifting the sawtooth lock, you can pull out 20mm in 10mm in 2mm increments. And the timepiece also featuring a flip-lock system that allows you to add effectively another 25 to 30mm. So all told, you will wind up with over 2 inches of extension. That's over 50mm total. So it is a very impressive clasp. And you may ask, why do I need to adjust while the mechanism is still on my wrist? Well, you may want to make adjustments without removing, because in a marine environment, if you drop your watch, it may be sinking for quite a while. And if you are sitting over 3,900 meters of water, the watch may survive, but it may be out of your reach. Now, the timepiece, of course, is solid. The clasp is solid. The bracelet is solid. The case is solid. This is the super case profile, but as it is so tall, it almost appears like the tapered case of a Datejust, at least when you're looking at it head-on. In profile, you can see it is enormously sheer with the helium escape valve for you heliox divers who are doing saturation dives and risk getting helium inside your watch. The valve will open when the internal pressure exceeds the external pressure by 2 to 3 bar to remove helium without ejecting the seals and the crystal. The bezel has 120 click action, and it is silky. Listen to it against the mic. Sounds good, feels good. It's precise, but it also glides smoothly. It has a refinement about it that speaks to Rolex standards. Now, there is a Cerachrome ceramic insert with platinum deposits to create the image of the numerals and the indices. And you can see that the sapphire-capped luminescent pearl lines up with the white gold minute hand. Now you have your impromptu 0 to 60 minute timer. I prefer that to a chronograph. It's easier to read. You'll also appreciate the fact that the ceramic insert in the bezel makes the watch highly scratch resistant, as this acts as a heat shield for your case. Now, the crystal is 6mm thick, and there's no cyclops eye for that reason. It also creates interesting off-axis distortion, a little bit like a vintage plexiglass. You can see the dial features a gradient fade from blue at its top to black at its bottom, and that echoes the trip that James Cameron took from the top of the sea to the bottom, from the blue to the black, in a submersible, the Deepsea Challenger, that was the exact color of the letters Deepsea on this watch. You'll also note on the deep blue, Deepsea is down below the hands as opposed to up top. White gold indices, chromolite blue lume. The timepiece featuring Rolex's manufacturer caliber 3135, 48-hour power reserve, 4 Hz beat rate, 8 beats per second, stop seconds, and a quick set date adjusted in 5 positions. It is a COSC chronometer. The timepiece with a full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock resistance, pivoting on 31 jewels, and the 5-position adjusted COSC chronometer features a handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring to help it keep excellent time in any orientation on the wrist. That hairspring is also made of blue oxidized niobium zirconium and is highly anti-magnetic. The timepiece features the Ringlock system. As you'll note, it's written on the bottom of the dial, and Rolex is effectively trying to figure out what to do with all this real estate. Original gas escape valve, Ringlock system. It's actually functional. As you can see, there is a sort of plinth on top of which you have that 6mm sapphire. That plinth is actually a cylinder that goes all the way through the case, and then the screw-in titanium case back, one of the few titanium pieces you'll find on a modern Rolex watch, acts as the base. So effectively, it compresses itself like a sandwich and allows the watch to stay water resistant down to 12,800 feet. But because this is a top-of-the-line Rolex dive watch, they actually have equipment in Geneva by which these watches are tested to 125% of the rated depth before they are shipped to the dealers. This is a timepiece that is designed to act as a true backup to your dive computer. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com to take the plunge with the D Blue. And I'm back with the Rolex Deepsea D Blue. Note the big lume on the bezel pearl, as well as the lumed seconds hand, a feature every dive watch should include.